And to answer your question, sir, no, that would not be covered in this report. That is something that we do at Special Operations Division, but it is a separate section, and it's not included in this data.
Okay. If it's relative to just the question of where it's not included in this report, but can you give me the 5-second thumbnail on where it's captured, or is it captured in another report, or is it just captured differently, or?
Sir, I'd request permission to answer that in closed session.
We can handle the public session of it here. There's a quarterly, and perhaps Chief McCarthy might want to step up, but to talk about more globally, alcohol abuse, misuse of it, constituting misconduct is an area that we report on quarterly as to a category of alleged misconduct. And in the subsequent investigations and findings and actions taken, that is something that the Department's quarterly disciplinary report covers, or not covers, but addresses as to the instances of allegations, the investigation, and findings and outcomes. Is that fair?
Yes, we do a quarterly report. We also work very closely. We have a number of things that we're doing to try to avoid these type of things, working with the league and coming up with strategies to prevent this type of behavior. We do, there are some things we can discuss in closed session that we do as special operations, but it's kind of after the fact, or if we believe that we have a pattern, we will look into them through special operations. We take every complaint, we investigate every complaint, and there are some things we do behind the scenes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, good afternoon. I have a question, and to be fair, I'm not sure you'll have the information for me today, but perhaps you can either come back to me or at the next quarterly report. That would be fine as well. If I read the report correctly, oh, by the way, if you have the answer, I'd love to hear it. But if I read your report correctly, in the last year, 2018, EES conducted 133 tests, which touched roughly 262 officers. And I note that one of your goals or objectives is to create a sense of omnipresence throughout the department. 262 out of 10,000, I'm not sure achieves the goal of omnipresence. My question to you is, really, what is sufficient to achieve your objective? Maybe it is 262. I'm not a statistician or someone who has analyzed these numbers, but if that is your goal, my question is, what is really necessary to achieve that goal? It strikes me 262 may not be it. And again, I don't want to put you on the spot because I think this question is coming out of the blue. Perhaps you've analyzed this and you have a range within a number of officers you'd like to reach each year, but that's the information I'd welcome having.
All right. Well, of course, you know, we try to do as many tests as we can during each quarter. The tests that we have conducted over the last year are consistent with the number we've conducted over the last 5 years. So that's the pace what we've been going at. We try hard to do as many specific tests as we can. So we look for officers who have displayed specific patterns. And so in that sense, we're trying to maximize our resources and make our tests most effective. I feel that we have been doing that to the best of our ability. And I think it's important to know that we moved away from more random tests to more specifics. Specifically to address, I think, which is your question of being effective with our resources.
The other thing to consider is...
By the way, I'm not questioning that you're ineffective. I'm questioning whether just 262 may be a resource issue. I'm not saying that there are resources today, but I think it'd be helpful to...
Mike.
Yes, and like Tim said, we do a lot of specifics, and some of them to recreate is very complicated. So we do as many as we can do with the resources we have.
Hey, Commissioners, I'll join in for a moment as a bit of my memory. This sprang from the consent decree, some now 15 to 20 years old, and while the department has had its Special Operations Division as to its investigation of officer misconduct and including efforts of proactively identifying those that may be engaged based on complaints or anonymous information. It was really the onset of the consent decree, as I recall, that set up the specific, systematic, regular, ongoing persistence. We are one of the few departments in American policing that has the number of resources that we have assigned to this. It is by no means statistically significant because of 1.7 million encounters last year involving uniformed officers, radio calls on just their stops. So this is yet another tool, much as our auditing of our body-worn visual video snippets as well as digital and our video and the feedback loops. This is another contributor. I'm proud of the work that they do because it is a substantial investment of resources that could otherwise be working in a law enforcement profession, but I do think it also is meant to demonstrate to the public that we will check and hold accountable our own through our own initiation, both in a systematic way, which is what the number of these tests and all of these categories spring from the consent decree, but then also specifically to allegations of any sense, of any rank in the organization, that we will utilizing these resources, attempt to test to demonstrate whether or not there is truth to the allegation.
We've maintained our numbers, even through managed attrition. The chief has kept us whole.
And that's very, very good to hear, and I think shows the commitment of the chief to all these issues. And I do appreciate, Chief, and I'm aware it comes out of the voters born out of the consent decree work and many things at work, and that today, in light of other programs as well, whether it be body-worn cameras, that there are many similar functions that the department can do checks and balances. It still remains a question in my mind whether it's resourced properly. And I don't know the answer to that. When I look at 262, I'm not saying you're all not working hard. I'm not suggesting that. I'm not suggesting you're not using your resources well. I just can't help but question whether that is enough. I don't know the answer to that. And maybe it's worth further conversation down the road. But thank you for your question.
Okay, we have public comment on...
We have one coming forward. We have Jonathan Foster.
Jonathan Foster. I didn't read the report, but the ethics enforcement, I've seen a great improvement in certain things. Maybe it's because I'm getting a little older and more lines on my face than when I was 18 or 20. So they look at me and they say, oh, this isn't a little kid. But I can tell you, I had been stopped by police officers who thought I was doing stuff wrong. And boy, I mean, I was just being anger baited. And where I wasn't angry, all of a sudden became angry. In the ethics, in that, I think because of people screaming at the top of their lungs, maybe some things have finally possibly changed. It's super slow. But that's one of the biggest causes of aggression back to the police officer is the anger baiting that goes on. I mean, I'm by nature not aggressive, really, just to hit a drum. You know, I want to be better than Buddy Rich, but I can't. Or Tony Williams, I can't be better than Elvin Jones. But I do remember, though, how angry I was, and all of a sudden, wanted to lash out at the police officer that was wanting to ask me a whole bunch of questions. And I think I've seen some improvement, but when I've seen the police officer deal with somebody else who's not white, that's not what I saw. I saw continued anger baiting. And then I saw a little argument and a fight happen, and then somebody got arrested off of anger baiting when they actually hadn't done anything except now they assaulted an officer. And this is an ethical violation, a big one. But I mean, it's taken a long time. I've said this before, though, in 10 seconds. It's the police department's a little bit like if I steal this guy's bicycle and he gets 10 of his friends and they find me, they're going to break my face. So I know people get mad about things. So maybe something can change.
A motion to receive the department's report, direct the Office of Inspector General to submit an analysis of the report along with any appropriate recommendations. I'll move. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, let's go to item number 2E, please. Does anyone have any commissioners have any questions regarding this contract? Do you have any public comments on this?
We have Mr. Herman.
Okay, Herman?
I submitted a card like I do all the time. And again, the agreement between the city, Los Angeles,
Topic, please, last warning, this is item number E.
we're on E.
Yeah.
We're dealing with the Nexus Corporation. I can fucking read, you stupid puppet, in configuration to the relationship of management. I know what the fuck how to read. Under BPC, pound 19-0196. Give me some time to speak, fucking retard. On the outline candidate portal service. You know, there was no board action or recommendation for all this fucking shit. The only report I and the mayor have is that the mayor Garcetti has a lover named Glenn Dakin, the sock cock.
He's off topic, Mr. President.
We have no other comment cards.
I'll report it to you.